There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University, a podcast for college-bound teens and the parents, mentors, and educators who support them. If that is you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, TEDx speaker, college admission strategist, and author of the book, Be Committed, Get Admitted. Welcome to Destination University. We help high school families successfully navigate the college admission process by helping students create an action plan, become interesting applicants, and write compelling essays that increase acceptance letters. As a former admission officer at Vassar College and an elite private school counselor in Los Angeles, I have coached, mentored, guided, and worked directly with over 10,000 students. I know what it takes to get admitted to top 100 colleges. As my gift to you, I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can get that at drcynthiacolon.com/admit. In the guide, I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review an entire application. I give you the order I read the application, what I was looking for, what I highlighted and took note of. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are made, well, today is your lucky day. Again, go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit. Okay, let's get to today's episode. Our guest today is like the other half of my brain. Honestly, Dina and I have been working together for over 5 years, but really we've known each other for over 10, maybe 15 years since our days at Marymount. She was in the marketing and communications department, and I was the dean of students at the time at Marymount. We went our separate ways, and we found each other again when I was looking to grow my essay coaching team. So we spend more time together in the summers than I do with my own family. And today you'll see how we can finish each other's thoughts and sentences when taking a dive look at student essays. We literally do share a brain. Let's get started. Oh my gosh, we have one of my favorite guests, Dina, here with us again to help us unpack some of these essays. And as you know, I've been saying that with this season 9, I don't know why it took me so long to really let you guys in on the truth and nothing but the truth. Today, we're going to unpack an essay that I've used before to show, but I often use just the final version. Final version is really spectacular. We use it in class, in essay camp, and I've used it in some of my presentations in the anatomy of a successful dream college application. However, what I don't often share, because I've been protective of students, but this person's given me permission and we're not using their real name anyway. What I don't often share is where the students start. Most of our students do come to essay camp with a blank sheet. They know that they just need some help and they are coming to us with a blank sheet of paper. However, sometimes students, especially our overachiever students who are usually in AP English classes, they're getting A's, they're doing all the right things. And so they really believe, and I mean, who could blame them? They really believe they can do this on their own. And so they make an attempt, they make a first attempt. And then I get a call from a parent that says, my kid just, has this draft and would you take a peek and just see if we're on the right track? So something in that parent's gut feeling is thinking, I'm not so sure this is going to really cut it and get the result we're looking for. Let's just put it that way. And so today we're going to take a look at an essay and how it came to us first, and then how we got from there to his final essay. Sound like a good plan? All right, all that to say, hi, Dina, great to see you.
Hi, I love doing this. I love talking about essays. My family is so bored of listening to me that this is now going to be my only outlet.
Okay, good. I'm glad because you are really good at, and Dina's been my partner in crime for many years now. And so we've gone over these before. So here is the student that we call Jensen. And Jensen is exactly the person that I just described. I got a call from the parent who said, can you take a look? My student has come home from a different essay camp and delivered this product. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can see my screen. If you are listening while you're doing your walk or your exercise or driving to work, I urge you to watch the episode. So I'm going to kind of scroll through, but Dina, just kind of walk us through when you read in prep for this interview today, what are you seeing here?
Well, the first thing that I saw was the number 10, and that first told me that this is going to be an essay about something that happened to someone when they were 10. And I want to just start by saying that those seminal moments in a kid's life are really important, but if you can't bring that lesson into the rest of your current life, then you've missed the opportunity to really show yourself to the reader. So he's telling a story about summer camp and a situation that he learned something about himself in a sticky situation in summer camp. And what I remember, just you took it off the screen, I remember that he that was my computer that actually took it off the screen, that he actually learned about uncomfortable situations being where he learns the most about himself. And I see that in the first paragraph of the essay, but I'm already not interested because I think he's 10 years old. So I'm going to stop there and let you comment on that.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself because Elvis was starting to bark, but you're absolutely 1,000% right. I mean, I knew within the first 2 sentences of reading this essay, and this is many years ago, actually, that I was like, oh no, he cannot turn in this essay. And I knew where he was applying. I knew that he was applying to some Ivy League schools and some similar schools that admit under 20%. I knew that. And so you're absolutely right. We usually say to students right away, it's got to be a story that happened to you within the time frame of high school, number one. And number two, this is just, I'm not engaged. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, right? Like it's not grabbing me. Okay, so we go on here and I'm going to just scroll down a little bit more. It's a campsite. The other thing for me is campsite, camp counselor. Again, I'm already thinking I've heard this story before. Even if I don't even know, I don't even give the chance of reading it because I've heard this topic so often, right? I'm like, oh no, another one of these. So it's unfortunate, but again, I promise season 9 to be brutally honest and give it to you straight. So, okay, anyway, go ahead, Dina.
So, the thing that I struggled with this essay was even understanding, what's the point? Even though he says in the first paragraph, I learned that difficult situations are where I learn the most, which I think is a great lesson. The lesson the story he's telling to reveal this difficult lesson didn't seem that difficult to me. And I'm not going to denigrate how important getting along with camp friends is. I never went to sleepaway camp, so maybe I don't understand it. But to me, this is not the kind of life lesson that somebody's named Rowdy and I'm going to kill him with kindness. And I mean, that's great, but it doesn't make me want to get to know more about this young man. And that's unfortunate, right? Because, clearly he's a thoughtful kid. And what happened to him when he's 10, it obviously impacted him because he's still thinking about it, but he's revealing it in a way that I don't really care. And that sounds cruel, but it's really like, I've never really understood how the story of a young kid dealing with a bully is like, why that's interesting.
Mhm.
because it's something that it's too universal and therefore not impactful.
Right. This, as I'm reading it again, and it's been a while since I read it the first time. I've read this, since the first time, but knowing who this person is in real life, I don't know if I remember him saying this or if I remember thinking it, that this seemed like a topic that someone suggested that would sound good, that would be a good topic to write about. And I think about Gary Clark, the VP over at UCLA, who's, when I interviewed him, he says, think less about what you think we want to hear and more what you need to say. And I do get that feeling here because, he's a smart kid. This kid is a rock star. And I'm just like, no, I think students think that they need to write about, community service and being altruistic and serving others. Often those don't make the best essays. Not to mention the types of colleges that were on his list. These are this kind of essay is a dime a dozen. That's the first way to get you out of the pool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it doesn't. And this kind of leadership, I understand that this sounds like an essay that a mom would suggest that you write, because your mom thinks that you're great and that you're compassionate and have great leadership skills. And mom says, remember that time when you were in camp and now Rowdy's your best friend? You should write about that. Yeah. It just screams mom suggested it to me.
Okay. All right. So let's bring us then to, okay, so he comes home with this. I know that this wasn't this particular mom.
Good. It wasn't her idea.
It's a good suggestion because that certainly does happen all the time. Moms will like, oh, I was telling little Susie or little Julio, he should write about this or she should write. And I'm always like, yeah, like just let him do the camp. Like, I promise you we'll guide him or her. But it was the mom who was like, I get the feeling this is not what should be sent. And she was right. So she had a gut feeling. So fast forward, he then comes to our camp, and I was assigned to him to be his camp counselor. His essay coach, his camp counselor. All right, so let's take a look, and then you can ask me all the questions because this essay is so different. I'm sure you're going to have questions as to like, how did we even get here?
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all, again, if you are doing your run or whatever, wherever you're listening to this podcast, honestly, watch the YouTube video so that you can see what I've got on my screen here, because now what I've got on my screen is his final version, which is sort of labeled newspaper sports journalism essay. All right, Dina, go ahead. Tell us what you see.
Well, first of all, before we get back to, I need to understand how you got him from camp to this, because I want to say that, I love this essay because this is an essay about how he attacks challenges, which, in his first essay, he was trying to talk about this as well, right? Being in an uncomfortable situation, and he had to figure out how to deal with it. And in this essay, he's trying to figure out how to get a writing assignment done. But what he's showing me is not just that he's writing about whatever he's writing about. He showed me that he has this like surgical precision in which he thinks about things and how he analyzes how to attack the problem. Does that make sense? I mean, going through this long version of this essay, he's like a surgeon. I mean, he's going through every single step. He's thinking in his mind, I have 4 hours to get this done, or 6 hours, or whatever it is. And he's breaking it down in his mind, like surgically. What do I need to do? What can I do first? What's the easiest thing? What's the low-hanging fruit? Where do I have to go to get this? How am I going to do this? And, it's really an interesting peek into his mind and how he approaches challenges, which, again, in his spirit, in his first essay, he wanted you to know that he finds his growth in his uncomfortable places. He's showing it here in a way that I really want to know more, and I really buy it. So it's nice it's good to know like that kid that was there at 10 is still there today. And so you helped him find a much better way of sharing that quality. So now you tell me how you got there.
Okay. So if you're listening, you're like, what are they talking about? Because you don't see it. So I'm gonna just kind of give you a little bit here. So Jensen, and I'll sort of answer your question in me describing it. Jensen, we discover once I got to meet him, is the editor of either the sports section or the entire newspaper of his school, high school. But he is a sports lover. Like he wants to be who's the announcer for basketball?
Oh
Famous.
gosh.
Uh, it's not Vin Scully. That's
No, that's baseball.
yeah, that's baseball. Anyway, it'll come to me in a second. But he loves sports. Now he is not. He's sort of a little guy. He's not going to be ever a D1, athlete, but he really aspires to have a career in sports. So he knows a lot about all the sports, but especially he admires the announcer who I think was the Lakers announcer forever. Anyway, okay, it'll come to me, or Dina will Google it right now. But this essay then is the assignment of needing to meet a deadline for the newspaper, and he's got, I think, 3 hours to get this his final copy done. And so it not only takes us into a window of his life of meeting this challenge and going through it, as Dina so eloquently says, like surgically, like just methodically, step by step, what he does, what he's doing. Okay, then this, and then that, and then I open this, and then I remembered that. But he also is using a sports metaphor to walk us through those steps. Now, I happen to be a sports obsessed fanatic as well. And so he uses the metaphor of football. And towards the end, let me scroll down. He's using like, I'm on the 25-yard line and being in the red zone. And I'm sort of remembering 25-yard pass complete over the middle, another first down, one step closer to a touchdown. So he's using his knowledge of being a connoisseur of sports, blending it in to what he's trying to tell you. So again, he's keeping the reader engaged the entire time, right? And it's a compelling essay because he's meeting this challenge. And your whole time you're worried, like, is he going to make the deadline? Is he going to meet it? Like, is he going to get it done? Oh my God. Like, did he fumble? Like you're enraptured the entire time. So, okay, so let me pause there and then I'll answer your question. So anything you want to add to that, Dina?
Well, I do. I think I love working with boys, as you know. And what I love about working with boys is that they don't think about their lives sort of like globally, philosophically, like young women tend to do at this age. On the surface and like maybe in their minds, right? Like they're the sum total of their activities, right? But the process of writing essays for college, it sort of forces them to think about like why they do what they do, right? What are their interests? What do their interests reveal about them? And that's not something that a young man, I think, is predisposed to do. I don't want to make generalizations to say that no one does, but at this age, they're not thinking about why they do what they do and what those things say about them. And I think that, in this process, you get students to really start thinking about what is it about me that my activities point to? And what I love about this essay is that, you said, he's a sports fan. He's never going to be a professional football player or basketball player, but he loves sports. And what you see in this essay is that his love of sports is actually is how he's attacked. It's like how he's attacking his writing, right? So he's using his passions to like in all kinds of places in his life. And, getting a kid to like see the connections between those two, like he attacks his writing like an athlete, even though he isn't an athlete. That's what creates a richness, I think, to this essay. He's not just a writer, he's a writer who loves other things and approaches his writing like an athlete. And by the way, I think you're talking about Chick Hearn, right?
Chick Hearn. Yes, that's it. I was like, oh, I got to remember it. I always think it's Chuck, but it's Chick Hearn. Okay, so you guys, again, if you're listening, I'll just read you the last bit here because it's worth it. I looked back up at the clock. 60 minutes were remaining. Time was winding down and the pressure was on. I needed to piece everything together to create the perfect play. Just as a quarterback must ensure all parts of the offense are in sync, I needed to smoothly connect the quotes, stats, and my writing to try and create a masterpiece. Done with the writing, I had entered the red zone, only 20 yards left to the end zone and 30 minutes remaining. Maybe that was 30 seconds. I knew I needed the perfect play to win the game. The blank digital canvas in front of me was on the field on which I would execute a beautiful play to win the game. Wanting not to just win the game, but win it with an original play, I went through my playbook and tried different ways of designing this page. I needed to fit all 5 players in this page. I settled on the perfect design, a block lettered title with sections from each of former Loyola High School football players now playing in college. Touchdown, game over. Oh, it does mean 30 minutes, meaning 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes before the deadline. Yeah.
The deadline, not in the game. Okay. So anyway, you see at the end, he does win, and he's signifying that he wins by using the term touchdown, game over. Okay. So good. So let me just sort of unpack sort of how we got there, because I literally, short of saying to him and his mom that first essay was absolutely, without a doubt, not to be submitted. Like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Please do not do like, burn it. Just burn that essay. It should never reveal it. Right. So in day 1 of camp, we go through a number of exercises, and the first one is the brainstorm exercise. So there's 7 categories that every high school teenager will choose to write on for their college essay. There's really only 7. So we do a brainstorming exercise, and then students then in their shared Google folder put it into their Google Doc. And our job as coaches, the students don't have the homework, but we have the homework. So we then go back and read. So they've done a brainstorm exercise, they've done a what, why memory exercise, and they've actually done what we call test drives, short drafts of 6 to 8 topics to see what's working. And so when I went back to read his test drafts, his essay drafts, that one caught my attention. Or there was some version of something with sports, and sports is also very overused topic. So it's very hard to do well. So I went back to his brainstorm, his 7 categories, and started looking at different things that he had written there. So if I remember correctly, something in there, and it usually is just like 3 words or a phrase or 1 sentence found somewhere in day 1 that you go, oh my God, that's the golden nugget. And it might have been saying that he said he wants to be Chick Hearn one day and is a sports editor. It might have just been something simple like that I was like, hey, Jensen, tell me more about this. And then we went from there. Very similar to the essay that he wrote on Thursday, day before last day of camp. He was like still like in the red zone. And I'm like, oh my God, you got to get this done. And he did make it. So, but that's one of my favorite success stories. And I use that word success, not because of where he was admitted. He is currently, or maybe graduating soon. He's at Notre Dame. He got into a number of schools, including Georgetown and some other places. But that's not why it's a success story. It's a success story because of where he started.
Yeah.
Knowing what he would have otherwise turned in. You guys, and here's the reality of college admissions. We'll never know. He could have turned that in, and maybe he would have gotten in. Doubtful. I mean, knowing what I know, like, compared to everybody else in the pool, it's hard to think that essay would have helped him stand out, because he's equally academically qualified as 60% or more of that pool. It's not, the academics is not what's going to get you admitted. It's really all the other things. So we'll never know, but you don't leave anything to chance. That's the bottom line. So, yeah. Right? I mean, it's still one of my favorites.
Well, again, any essay that can reveal more than one thing about you, but still being on the same topic is, I mean, that's the point. right? It's the thing that we always say, what is the story only you can tell? And as I said, I like working with boys because they don't necessarily think, they really do think they're the sum total of their activities, right? They don't talk, right? It's like that birthday card that my son gives to every person that he ever gives. It's like, it says like, hi, happy birthday, good talk. I mean, it's like, and it reveals there's so much to Jensen that he didn't realize was in him, right? Until he said, oh, like connecting the dots makes you like jump off the page and makes you a three-dimensional person that you want to get to know. And nobody wants to know more about the boy who was nice to Rowdy.
Oh my gosh, you're making me, you know what? I must have been consciously thinking this because I think when I signed you the essays that I wanted you to unpack with me, they're all boys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right, Dina. Well, it's been yet another just illuminating conversation with you about these essays. And so I hope you who are watching or listening find this valuable, because you don't want to leave anything to chance. And so that's what we do. That's what we help students do in essay camp, but just in general, if nothing else, you take away some things. Multi-dimensional essays are really, really great if you can learn how to do it. Those are the hardest ones to write, but if you can do it, it's really worth the effort. Okay, awesome. All right, great to see you, Dina.
Good to see you too. Take care.
Here's the truth. For nearly 30 years, I have worked at elite private colleges and/or private high schools. I know what well-resourced families do to ensure college success, and I can tell you, if your child is enrolled at a public or religious high school, chances are she or he is already 5 steps behind. However, today is your lucky day. To get you ahead of your private school peers, I have a gift for you. I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit to get your copy. I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review the entire application. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are actually made, you're not alone. Take action now to get 5 steps ahead and begin increasing those acceptance letters. Again, that's Dr. Cynthia Colon, drcynthiacolon.com/admit. That is all I have for you today, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Colon. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. You can subscribe to Destination University wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, leave us a review. It sure does help a lot. By subscribing and reviewing, you help to grow the community of informed families across the nation. And if you haven't binge listened to our previous seasons, do it. With each episode, you'll learn a new tip, trick, or strategy for success. Start with episode 1, the one word every parent should remove. You'll learn my mom's secret to ensuring college success for her daughters. And once again, if you found value today, please share this episode with 3 families in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.